FESIG, the free energy special interest group where science meets spirituality in the quest for truth and knowledge to free humanity and transform this planet into a paradise. Hi everyone, hi! Welcome to Physics 138th meeting, and we are holding this meeting on the second Wednesday of the month because the first Wednesday is a bit tight with Independence Day in the US, and the second speaker, I couldn't reconfirm. Then I got Grayham Forscutt to return back to speak at our platform. I really appreciate you, Graham, for picking up the ropes last minute, short notice, because the prospective one couldn't reconfirm. Really appreciate you, brother, and I just love your presentations. So I actually wanted to, if you would give me a moment, I'm going to pull out the PowerPoint presentation as well as Graham's bio. Sorry, I didn't, I made a slip. I couldn't do it earlier. So while I'm looking for it, I'm chatting on. And those of you who are attending, who are staying put from Tom Ferdinando's talk earlier on Dr. DeMille's work, I want to thank you for choosing to spend time here with us. Right, I'm going to share screen in a moment, but before I do that, I have to pull up Graham's bio. Okay, just give me a moment. It's my fault.
I've got that PowerPoint here ready to go, or that PDF.
Oh, you got the PowerPoint ready to go, PDF.
Well,
Wonderful.
it's in a PDF format, but yeah.
I got you. So Graham's bio is coming up. I think we can. I can't find it. I'm sorry. Usually I'm on the dot, but this time, okay, I got it now. Okay, so now I'm ready. I am asking for your patience with me here. I'm going to share screen and our PowerPoint presentation will be coming up in a moment, right? Okay, right. Okay, so here we are, folks. Welcome to Physics 138 meeting. And this is the second session. It's held on the, on the second Wednesday of the month, which is the 9th, okay? Those of you who wanted to hop in on the 2nd of July, my apologies for the inconvenience. Here we are, everyone's here. The 28th is, the 138th meeting, we have two speakers. We have Tom DeFernando speaking just now, and it was really good. It was so enlightening with the work of Dr. DeMille. Okay, so we have the second speaker now, Grayham Forscutt, coming up. Grayham is our galactic astrologer returning speaker, presenting transmission from the Oversoul of Synarchy. In the age of Aquarius, Earth becomes conscious participant in the politics of stars. Graham's mission is to help us star seeds, ray showers, consciousness activists, and visionaries remember so we can do our work well here. His talk synopsis includes the shift from hierarchy to synarchy. Number 2, the Earth's induction into galactic oversight. Number 3, the 12-fold galactic departments. Number 4, Aquarian citizens of the stars. And number 5, galactic politics is evolutionary stewardship. So once we finish with the Q&A, do pen down next time we meet in our 139th Physics meeting on the 6th of August. Okay, same time, 6:30 p.m. GMT. So get in touch with me, write to crystal@truevisionpeace.com, and please subscribe to all our our video channels and also to our Telegram channel, FESIG_group. So we can have a group discussion and study groups and interacting with each other, and also to um, develop our knowledge and skills with the group setting. That is so wonderful. And also, I do post anything that's going on at FESIG and the announcements at the Telegram group, as well as Facebook, and so on and so forth. So coming to Graham, I got to introduce every speaker as I do to honor them, so you know where they are coming from and what they're going to share. It's really awesome. All right. During the past 4 decades, Graham has worked on developing a new galactic center oriented astrology, where he had blended the latest discoveries from astrophysics, quantum mechanics, solar mechanics, plasma cosmology, the new chakras of the 12-strand DNA, and more. Decades of focus, out of body experience, and remote experiences lead to a connection with the Galactic Federation at our Milky Way Center. And Graham went on to be first to plot the major stargates and develop the advanced collective diamond light body, preparing for our next step into the galaxy as explorers and ambassadors. So Graham is indeed an out-of-body experiencer and futuristic researcher. Topics research included communicating with the Galactic Center administration, the golden ratio, astronomy, cosmology, cosmogenetics, galactic starseed astrology, sacred geometry, diamond ray codes, and so on and so forth, stargates and all that. Okay. So he shares his perspective on the ET phenomena as well. If you got questions in that area, please raise your hand on that in the Q&A session. But for now, speakers usually have the platform, I mean, the floor completely uninterruptedly for about 40 minutes before we start the Q&A session. Okay, so no interruption. Because Graham is really renowned for his creative designs, beautiful illustrations, which is really fantastic. I've already read the synopsis to you earlier, so without much ado, I want to pass the microphone to Graham. But before that, I just want to say this, okay? Now, Dan Winter, everybody knows of Dan Winter's work. It has been very, very well, extremely well and creatively illustrated by Graham most of the time, right, Graham? I don't know if you're still illustrating his presentations, but your
Um,
presentations are world class. Thank you, brother. Over to you now.
yeah, hi, thanks. I'm here in New Zealand, so it's still pretty early in the morning. You're the first person I've spoken to today.
Oh,
Yeah, I've been friends with Dan for a couple of decades. Before that, I'd also worked with the golden ratio. Nearly everything I've done and do is based on the golden ratio geometries, mathematics, and golden ratio spiral. So when I picked up Dan's work back there about 25 years or so ago, it fitted in with what I'd been doing for 15, 16, 17 years before that. So even though it sounds outrageous or fantastic, some of these ideas, I've always, right from the very beginning, tried to fuse left to right brain, the psychic kind of remote out of body type of experiences. Although I wouldn't call them that, I would call them more resonance patterns. In the same way that Robert Monroe refused to call it astral travel, he wanted to call it focus levels. And in science, we now know that two locations interact in real time over any distance. It's basically tuning into the destination and resonating with that. So everything that I have done and everything that I even speak about today will be in one way or another based on the golden ratio. I have a
okay,
number of
Graham, I apologize that we've eaten into your time a bit. I mean, we were like We have taken about, well, 20 minutes of your time. So I wanted to say that we got all the time in the world for you. Okay, you just complete your presentation at your own pace, and we're going to have the Q&A after that before we close. So we have time for you, but we don't know if you have time for us, but we really are all ears now. Carry on.
Okay, so I have a presentation in a few slides in a PDF format, and it's probably easier just to look at that while I'm talking. It makes much more sense to me. So I can bring that PDF up if I go to the share. Oh, there it is down here. So hopefully everyone can see this. This is just the first image to plot where we are today. In the style of astrology that I've developed over the last few decades, it's called heliocentric. We draw the planets up from their true positions from the sun's point of view. You know, this is going back, we should have changed astrology back there. When is it, was his name Cornucopius, back there in the, was it 1500s? So from the sun's point of view, the planets are in their true positions, whereas general astrology, we're on the Earth and we get a telescope and we look out and we try to plot where the other planets are. It's like being on an electron, zooming around the nucleus, trying to map where the other electrons are. And we do it from one of the electrons. So heliocentric astrology, we've jumped into the sun and then we look around, we note and we plot where the planets are, and some of them are in different positions. So here's the heliocentric chart from the sun's point of view. I will also point out that the distance out from the sun to each of the planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and so on, those distances are based on the golden ratio mathematics. So that's 1, 1.62, etc., etc. Not only are the distances out from the sun to each of the planets based on the golden ratio, the orbital period, the length of time that each planet goes around the sun, that is also based on golden ratio mathematics and time periods. So there we have space and time mapped with one formula, the golden ratio. As well as that, the speed of each of the planets related to each other, they are golden ratio as well. So this can be found on a couple of websites. You can go to my website and you'll find the link there to the research that's done on that. So the solar system itself is a golden ratio construct. Anybody that's looked at Dan Winter's work will know that's why the sun is not only a body there of plasma and hydrogen and so on. It acts as an attractor, like a magnetic attractor. And anyone that's looked at Dan Winter's work will know that therefore the sun is a portal, it's a stargate. It goes through the Planck scale, it goes through the 0 point, as it were. And once you've gone through that, of course, this is the plasma level of the sun, the etheric level of the sun, the energetic level of the sun. Then through that portal, two locations can interact in real time over any distance. So I was using this and applying this long before I come across Dan Winter's work. I didn't have the actual physics for it, but my intuition knew this was the case. So here we are. This is a chart for the full moon. I guess that's tomorrow, is it? And here we see the planets. Now up there around about 11:30, we can see there's a moon there. This is the full moon. And then beside that, on the right, we see the Earth, the circle of the cross over it. They're about 18, almost 19 degrees of what they call tropical Capricorn. Of course, anybody that knows astronomy and astrology knows that that is not Capricorn out in that direction, but we won't go there. That's the sidereal. But anyway, the Earth is there. The moon will be there in the full moon. And out in that direction, that red arrow there is pointing to what astronomers call M57 or the Eye of God. It's basically a supernova. It's a star which has finished its cycle. This is in the constellation of Lyra. Anybody that's been familiar with ET and ET history knows that it was Lyra that the Galactic Center projected an idea into that constellation there, Lyra, projected it to this M57, the solar system there, and that projection from the Galactic Center was the original thought or idea, the geometry, the etheric matrix of the human, what we call now the human DNA. And this was then expanded upon by different authors. We'll call them channels, I guess, to a certain degree. And they were speaking about the evolvement, the unfolding race of human-like beings there in this M57. The channel people call it Avalon. And from there, this is a long time ago in history, millions of years ago, they got to the level where they did understand not only can two locations interact in real time over any distance, they applied that in their ability to transmigrate through stargates and portals. Of course, we're nowhere near that at this stage, but different people and many people around the planet are beginning to have that lucid experience. So the star families there from M57 began coming out, traveling out to this part of the galaxy. All the stars we hear about, Pleiades, Sirius, Aldebaran, Arcturus, and so on, they're within one small neighborhood of the Milky Way. We don't even really have names for the majority of stars in the Milky Way. So it's interesting that as we are talking here today and the thoughts and the contemplation in the next couple of days, the full moon is taking place, lining up to the original home base there in the Lyra constellation, and the Eye of God is the common name for this. This is what it looks like in astrophotography. So what we're going to do now is that we've got a few images here. We're going to expand upon a few ideas that we've been working with over the last few decades. So I'm going to scroll to the next one. So this is here. Yeah, I've called this 5D social structure, a self-organizing dynamic structure. Now, the only reason I've called it the fifth dimension here in this sense is that this is a common phrase with some of the people that I work with. Now, I don't want to get into what the New Age calls the fifth dimension. I'd rather see that as the maturing of the human race, along with some of the others that are here that have incarnated to broaden and help develop a more humane social structure, and of course, bring the earth back to its pristine beauty. So what we have here is the flat template of the dodecahedron. And those that have looked at Dan Winter's work and have looked at history and so on in the realm of metaphysics will know that the dodecahedron is a golden ratio polyhedra. And then if this folds up here, we have that dodecahedron, and this is the more or less the geometry that Dan uses as a scaffolding. And inside this scaffolding, this is where the golden ratio spiral comes from. The circumference there goes to the center of the dodecahedron. Here's a number of images. I've got a number of images as well of how this golden ratio spiral, it's the inward implosive of energy or charge. This is the ether itself, the invisible plasmas and so on. This is charge. This is implosive collapse. This is self-embedding of charge at different scales, smaller and larger, like the sun holding the planets in orbit, where the solar system is a golden ratio construct. So what we're doing here is that we have the dodecahedron here, the faces of it, 12 faces, and we know it's the implosive collapse of charge to center the 0 point. So we've used this in a way which we've tried to develop a ongoing self-organizing social construct or social dynamics. And within each
Graham,
of
Graham, I don't mean to interrupt you. It's such a shame that we're not able to read because there's too many
yes,
words on the screen. So if
sure.
you could share on the full screen, that would be great. It's not really
Uh,
full screen. If you can go full screen, then we can see better. because you got some of the most amazing creative illustrations that we need to see clearly. You're not going to
I don't think
skip
it's any
slides,
better.
right? Oh, is that
Is
better,
that any better?
folks? Is that better, folks?
I don't think
Oh,
it's any bigger.
if you don't think it's
This
any
is,
better, go back to where you are because you need to skip slides sometimes, right? And go back to info.
uh,
All right.
so where do I go back?
Oh dear, sorry. Oh, my fault.
Okay.
Oh,
Uh,
just go at the bottom where there is a menu on the right-hand side, the bottom. Then you can see the slides, share slides with the screen on the, I mean the slides on the left-hand side and the right-hand side is the picture. If you could hover your mouse down to the bottom
yeah,
of your screen and then
left or
you
right?
move the mouse to the extreme right, you'll be able to see the menu of
Uh,
I
uh,
navigation.
I
No?
think it's in the top right corner. You have two arrows
Yeah,
with
that's it.
oh
I
yeah,
see. I get it.
yeah.
Mhm. Oh, it's a different one. Thank you,
Yeah.
Pontus. Oh,
Sorry
cool.
about
You
that.
got that now.
I've got this image on my website. It's on my
Mhm.
Facebook page, etc.
Okay.
So, uh, in a nutshell, what we've got here is the 12 faces, pentagonal faces, which fold into the dodecahedron. And in in my mind, this is what King Arthur and Jesus, the storylines there. How will how would we most economically bring together, with all the aspects covered, a social structure like a new council or political system? So another way of seeing this is if we get a ping pong ball or if we get a beach ball, whatever the size is, there's if we want to pack other self-similar sized spheres, ping pong balls, around a central ping pong ball, well, we can get exactly 12 and they will touch, they don't intrude on each other. They just nest perfectly. 12 around a 13th there is a natural geometry. It's like a template that runs throughout the universe, time, space, etc., etc. So it's another way of seeing it here. And within each of the 12 there, we have a breakdown of what we have put there as areas of community or areas of society. It's kind of like a council with departments. We've got the environment, we've got permaculture, we've got science, we've got public services, health, education, spirituality, culture, urban design, etc. So within each of those, we break it down again to 144, meaning there's 12 within 12. So the next image kind of addresses why we would do this. So we're trying to really just bring forward something that in the past was used or thought about in different cultures, and we're kind of updating it into the new or present with some of the phraseology that we put in there or some of the aspects of the new community. So we've got here again this image. So we've got here 144 around the central heart. This geometry here, there's a large, it's nesting in half of a geometry, a polyhedra here. It's called a rhombic trichontahedron. It's made of diamonds, golden ratio diamonds here. The height and the width golden ratio. So we've got a large one there, a purple one, and inside there we can fit exactly 12. So there's a pink one there, a blue one there, a whitish one there, a reddy one over there. So we've got 12 trichontahedrons there that fit inside a larger trichontahedron, and there's a central hub to it here, this yellow one here. This would be like the central sphere in the sphere example. And then within each of these here, this one here, I've cut out the cavities here. So inside then, in there as well, based on the golden ratio, smaller sized trichontahedra, 12 of them fit inside there, as we've got here, as we've got there. So 12 within 12 example there. And of course, the purple one on the outside, you could get 12 of those and they would nest around a larger version there of the central one there. It's called a rhombic hexaconahedron. So it's a natural formula. It's a natural way of clustering in in reality. We can build it. We can make it out of cardboard. That's a cardboard model there. And when we get down into the scale, getting close to the zero temperatures and so on, the molecular structures and so on begin to form into Bose-Einstein condensates, which where the singular becomes nested in a larger format and it loses its individuality, singularity, and becomes part of the larger structure. So this is why we're kind of using this as a template for the new community. And so we're seeing it in this way. On my website, we have other uses or applications that we could bring to this 144 geometry here, but anybody interested in that can go and have a look there. So over here, we've got something a little bit different. And this is simple. Anybody can do this. So when we have alphanumerics, there's alphanumerics from different cultures, grammatria, hieroglyphics, and so on. So all I've done here, I've been doing this for over 40 years as well, is that I've used A as 1 and then Z equals 26. So each letter has a number and it's very, very simple. So we've got a list there in blue. Each one of those phrases there equals 222, the grand total. And then the ones there in brown, 183, all those phrases there equal, come to 183. So I'm just going to read through these. Now, when I'm compiling, I've been compiling phrases for, as I say, over 40 years. I've got a book with 600 and something pages. And at the top, I've got the number. And when I come across a new phrase, that could be something I've read, that could be something I contemplate. It comes from various sources. So all I do then is I work out the total of that phrase, the alphanumeric total, and I go to the page, I lodge it in there. I don't care what page or what number it is, I just lodge it where it sits there. So I'm just going to read down these phrases here. I'm not attached to any of these phrases being on this number, but the number is not so important. It's the cross-referencing of the phrases. This is what I've learned over time. So I'll read these here. We've got overseeing the galaxy, galactic administration, real galactic federation, the galactic community, group psychology, advanced civilizations at the coordination hub, meetings of parliament, 12 departments, group psychology, whoops, doubled up on that one, the nuclear component, integrated overview, whole system design, avatar of synthesis. So there's a lot of phrases there that when we kind of look at them, they make sense, or at least they make sense to me. Alice Bailey, early in Theosophy there, was talking about, this is 100 years ago, that in this era, there would be the arrival of what she called the avatar of synthesis. I see that as the golden ratio, and we can apply that here to what we're doing today. The other list there, 183, we have these group of words and phrases: Aquarian archetype, holistic vision, new earth hologram, light-based society, future education, whole systems, a model community, the prototype, communal spirit, the 12 rays, the interactiveness, the central group, planning councils, agents of society, mature social body, new communities, maybe I read that one already, angelically speaking, etc. So what we've done there is that we've brought together the Aquarian archetype, which we're moving through in this next era, and we've then kind of cross-referenced or linked that to the other phrases there about the galaxy and the galactic center. And the modeling here is my way of integrating those two lists of ideas there, or concepts. So just scroll on here. Same model here. again. So this one is made out of cardboard. Took me a while, but I made all that. Up here is another one which I've made, the same thing again. This one's just generated on software. Another model there, the dodecahedron. So at the top here, now this is channel information. We can take or leave this. So in channel information, they talk about the oversoul or the higher self, and they mention that it has a number of souls or a number of individuals which are part of the soul group. And the number of individuals that are a part of a soul group, they call that 144 soulmates or members of a specific soul group, which they then call an oversoul. So that is just talking there and people channeling, and then here's someone who's trying to draw that up, what that might look like. But in the realm of energetic geometry, Dan Winter's golden ratio implosive formulas and so on, where this model here nests into everything that Dan Winter ever says about golden ratio coherence and implosiveness, self-embedding in golden ratio. This formula here, we shared this with Dan on one of his fractal university classes, which he was looking at, and he certainly sort of could see how that worked, had no problem with that. So there again, if we build our community, our new world, our society, based around the templates, the actual energetics of how the universe is functioning, then we have the most likelihood of success. This is why we're doing it. This is why we're promoting this idea here. And our intuition certainly suggests that if the societies in the galaxy are more advanced than where humanity is, then they have tuned in and applied the formulas, the laws of the universe. And they're doing that already. They've been doing it for a long time, more than likely. And therefore, they can see us coming. Once we begin to apply and utilize some of these principles, then they know that we are getting ready to jump into the galaxy. We're getting ready to become a galactic race. And therefore, we'll be more likely invited, we will receive the invitation to become a full member of the Galactic Society. So again, this is why we're doing this. This is why we're promoting these ideas. Same here, just a bigger version of it, just to show what we're doing with the geometry. In the realm of channeling and New Age information, there's channeling talking about the diamond light body. Now, that came out around about the year 2000, so 25 years or so. And we were using this geometry, the trichondahedron, back in the mid-1980s. Bucky Fuller was using this geometry, didn't have much to say about it, but he did realize that it was fractal based on the golden ratio. The reciprocal space inside this rhombic trichondahedron self-replicates towards its own center based on the collapse of the smaller and smaller geometries. We can see some of those here on the inside of the trichondahedron. Same with the central one here. This is the rhombic hexachondahedron at the core, at the hub. So the entire geometry, the shape, form of the trichondahedron there is golden ratio embedded, in the sense that it clusters outwards in more trichondahedrons, and it collapses, or it self-implodes inwards with smaller and smaller self-similar versions of the shape, volumes, etc., based on the golden ratio. So it fits perfectly with the geometries and the science that Dan Winter is building. That will take us through into the, or out and in through into the galaxy, etc. So we're just really trying to bring some of those ideas into the social dynamics. There's a patent out there. It's called how can a photonic crystal best be designed? And this is the same thing here, the diamond shapes there. This is the internal space, the point of that tetrahedron there. It's a golden ratio tetrahedron. Goes to the center there. So in the realm of quasi-crystal and how they're going to use that in photonics based on the same design there. They basically call that a light crystal or a photonic crystal. So just more about the same there, the same geometry. So I'm not going to stop there and look at those too much. Just carry on here a bit, see how we get on. I think now um, that's about it here in the sense that the geometries that we're using to create or at least present this idea of a self-organizing social construct. I'll give you an example. Where I live, which is in Golden Bay, New Zealand, it's around about 5,000 people here in our region. And in the past, 25% of the voting population voted for the Green Party. And where I live, if someone needs to know about organic seeds, they'll go to the person that collects organic seeds. If somebody wants to know about galactic astrology, they'll come to me. If somebody wants to get healing cranial-sacral therapy, everybody knows who is the skilled practitioner in, cranial therapy. So it's self-organizing in that sense. Our community here is an example of the unfolding fifth dimension. It's not a construct where where everybody is sort of put in place and it's a hierarchical thing. It self-organizes due to people being aware of who is the representative of that specific type of energy or teaching or skill set. So I'm going to close this now. Anybody there? I'll take questions. Not sure where Crystal's gone to. Oh, there she is.
Oh, sorry. I'm here. I was muted. That's why I forgot to unmute myself because I didn't want any sound to disturb your presentation. It's so good. Right. Thank you, Graham, for bearing with us, eating your time early in the first session, and you did well with your presentation. I was expecting it to be a bit longer. Well, anyway, it's fascinating that you were showing us how we do the self-organizing structures and the explaining the 144 group souls. It is so interesting. Right. I wanted to see if there are any questions on chat. Has anybody with any important questions that I could ask you to unmute yourself to speak up? I will be so grateful. And I don't see any hands up.
Yeah, here.
Oh, cool. Okay, Lua.
Yeah.
Where are you, Lua? Which part
I
of
am based in Barcelona
Barcelona?
and I'm in the Maya calendar. I'm connected with Argüelles and also with Jinkies and human design. And I like the presentation so much because I I see the structure, I see the mathematic behind. And I would like to know indeed. So uh, I'm gonna search for that. So thank you very much.
No, as you know, that if you go to our website, you hover your mouse over the name of any speaker that you want to research, it takes you to their website. Same with
Okay.
Graham's, okay? You
Okay.
hover your mouse over Graham's name in the website where I announce the speaker is speaking. So you
Mhm.
just go click on his name and it takes you to his website. Okay?
I will try to do it like that.
Thank you. Yeah. Otherwise, Graham, you can also type your website link here. I mean, your website here. But Graham, the speakers are too busy answering questions. Don't need to do that. Just go to our website. You know how to get there, right? Okay. So, is there any other question? Anybody has any question to ask Graham? He's a resource of information here. Most of the stuffs that Dan Winter's talking about, that Dan Winter has been presenting. Graham works with Dan, and he came up with most of his illustrations, so you can ask him.
I would like to know if you start today or when that starts and which is the process on that, because maybe we are at the beginning or maybe we are in the middle, or because I see it's the work done is so fascinating, but I would like to know where are we right now?
You
You
mean
mean
our
collectively?
trajectory as a human species in our evolution? Is that what you meant, the question for
Yeah,
Graham? Loa?
the trajectory of the group
Okay,
of
Okay,
yeah.
I'll get,
thank you.
I'll try and explain how I see that at the moment. So this is Dan Winter's work again. Things are either entropic or negentropic in the sense that in the realm of what science sees, like astrophysics and so on, they see the universe as a self-destructing construct. Whereas when we look through 5D eyes or when we look at things more deeply, what the universe really is a negentropic construct. It's not collapsing or it's not self-destructing. It's actually cohering over time. And the solar system, based on the golden ratio, is a good evidence of that. If it wasn't based on the golden ratio, our solar system would have self-destructed a long time ago. So when we look out there around the planet today, we can see that the global eye, which I'll call the internet and sharing via social media and news outlets and so on, the global eye is looking at what's going on the planet now more or less in real time. Whereas like 30 years ago, it might have been you had to wait for the book to come out, or you had to wait for the news source to get to the real information. Whereas at this point in time, the global eye, people around the planet, are watching what's taking place, positive and negative, in real time. So in one sense, everybody that is on the negative tangent or their intent is based on things that are not pure, not real, not true, well, they are part of the entropic. And that entropic then is like overheating, like no oil in the car, for example. So
Mhm.
entropy leads to self-destruction. It destroys itself. So there are all those that are out there in the realm of the world that are on that side. They are being exposed in real time, and their agendas, they are overheating. They're fighting amongst themselves, and it's like a pyramid structure. So everybody wants to get to the top. Number two's after number one's job, etc., etc. So that is self-destroying itself over time. Whereas negentropy is more cooling. So as things move along the collective timeline, those that are doing things based on integrity, pure intent, truth, etc. So they are cohering, they are joining, they are expanding in an exponential kind of way. So we're right in the middle of it. We're in there. It hasn't come to that point yet where the negative side is completely self-destructed, but we're there watching it taking place in real time.
Right. Thank you for the brilliant answer.
Can I ask Graham? Sorry,
Sure.
can I?
Really, carry on.
Yeah, so it's Hayden White here. I'm in Hawke's Bay, Graham.
Ah.
And so if it's that side of it is, sort of going through the destructive phase, what about the rest of us on the other scale? Where do you see us?
On the negentropic, on the loving, compassionate,
Yeah.
sharing, all those words. So
Thank
in the physics of implosion, Dan Winter's fractal physics. So every smile, every act of compassion and empathy Well, that acts as a magnetic attractor, and that helps other people join along with that.
Yeah.
So the fusion, the integration, the expansion, the number of people that are every day becoming influenced by that grows. It just keeps growing. And the next day it is grown by even more numbers. So one side is getting slower in the sense of the way that it can do things. It's being exposed, etc. So its ability to accomplish its goals is lessening every single day. And the other side of it, those that are based, doing things, are acting based on compassion and empathy. Well, they are the numbers, and what they are trying to achieve is expanding. It's increasing every single day.
Mhm.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you so much, Graham, for explaining that. I think Matty, bro, has got a comment, and he said, real time, you bring tears to my eyes, Graham. Tears of joy in my eyes. So you want to unmute yourself and speak to Graham, please? Matty? Oh, Matty, you're okay, he's in the Philippines, and it's like in the middle
Thanks
of
so
the
much.
night. Yeah. Can you speak up to Graham, please, Matty?
Well, there is not much to say. Actually, I don't want to interrupt with this fishing. And thank you for this information. It is exactly what I vibrate with, and that's what we are essentially. Thank
Oh,
you.
Thanks. Thanks.
thank you for appreciating Graham's talk so much. Right. So, is there any hands up? Pontus, do you see any hands up?
I'd love to share.
Oh, gosh. Okay, carry on. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, first of all, my heart is leaping with galactic joy at the precision of the cosmic order of divine perfection coming together today in the mathematics of, all of us gathered here today. And Graham, I honor you for being a revolutionary, being a galactic guardian to bring this in. I want to tell you all a very interesting mathematics synchronicity that the number 138 is connected to the date May 10th. May 10th is the 138th day of the year. And it happens to be connected to Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer, who has crossed from this dimension, but he was kin number 222. I am kin number 144. This is all woven into the Galactic Maya information and also gene keys and human design. As you had mentioned, Lou, which I see it was your galactic birthday 2 days ago, and we're in the 13-day cycle of the magnetic right now. So I feel the power of the mathematics of synchronicity. This is what I'm passionate about, and I didn't know anything about until my near-death experience on May 10th, on Wayne Dyer's birthday, 9 months after he died. And so I feel like we've all been, especially the individual circuitry of human design, has been kind of paving the way in the solar plexus mutation ahead of time. And it feels like I'm stationed here in Costa Rica, which I call the galactic 0 point. It's definitely one of the nodes where we're here to build this social structure out. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's I don't want to take up too much time. I'm just weaving in the synchronicities of the numbers. Also, the man's land that I'm on right now, which I believe is a part of this evolution, is kin number 183, the other number that you mentioned, Graham, on the slide there.
Thank you.
So I'm just sensing the quickness of this physicalizing into the form as we've all kind of been in our own spirals, aligning to the higher galactic wisdom. And it is time, I feel, to start to manifest the creation in the form. And I'm just patiently waiting and watching that. But I feel like the time is now, and there have been many of us kind of paving the way in the galactic consciousness, awaiting the time for this to come down into the form and to radiate out and ripple to all of humanity.
Lovely. Well said. Thank you, Alicia. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the staff seats, the Vaishyavas, the consciousness activists, who are here today, I'm sure most of us are feeling the shift and the upgrades, because we've been assisted in so many ways by the light beings from on high, beaming all these energies to us so we can upgrade, turning into the light body, hopefully. And thank you, Graham, for sharing all that you share and explaining it so succinctly with your well illustrated presentation. Right, so we can understand it a lot better, and you're indeed helping us remember who we truly are. Right, Mona, surely you have something to say, Stasis. Would you unmute yourself and say something? Or I have a question for Graham. Graham is here to answer our questions and to help us remember. All right, then moving on. If Mona can't unmute herself, what about okay, Matty, you've spoken up. Yeah. Bill, you have anything to say? Henrik, Jerry, Pontus, the team. Okay. If I called you all out, if you can unmute yourself, Mike Emery. You are interested in galactic astrology as well. That's why you're here, right? So you want to say something or ask a question to Graham? If you would make it short so we can move to the others as well. Everyone has a chance. Sarah, you have something to say? When you're ready, just unmute yourself. Don't wait for me to call you.
Hello. I did
Yeah,
unmute myself, and I'm quite nervous because this is like just something that happened to me in the last few hours, is joining you from when I was noticing how my cola plant food that I bought from, oh my gosh, now I need to remember his name, here on Vancouver Island, in Souk, who's been on your
Sarah,
forum
would you be
years ago.
able to show your video? Show us your face.
Okay.
Yeah, don't be shy
I
because
find that distracting too.
no, because
But
it's a
here we
video. All
go.
right. Thank
Here we
you.
go. So I wanted to just also
Oh, you're
just
beautiful.
say
Hello.
that so if we could go back to your diagram of the dodecahedron unfolded, please, with all of their different governance, etc. Can we go back to that image?
You want to have a look at it? Okay.
Yes, please. I was looking at it and read it, through a few times. It'll take several times to read through it, and I was just
Yeah.
sort of looking at where I understand things and where where I'm working and where I identify with things in here. And there's quite a few, and then so I'm just more on like the hands-on with like the environment and the permaculture and the urban design and public services. And then I guess the galactic and the spiritual things, and I don't know, I'm just wondering if you have any insight on how one might develop, more understanding of the ones that we're not familiar with. Is there a way you go about getting yourself into this stuff that you've written here? Thank you.
Okay, I'll give it a go. Well, first off, this image, like I probably began this about 25 years ago, and I worked out those 12 areas, permaculture and so on. And then I started writing in what I thought might be the 12 within the 12. And then earlier on, I sent it out to different people, via social media. They looked at it, they typed in some of their preferences. That came back to me. I included some of them. I sent it out to other people. They whited out some of them and then put some of their own. It came back to me. So it was an ongoing progression and not just all my ideas. So I can see also that in my own case, I'm probably reasonably skilled at a few of those topics in some of those areas there, and in some of the others, I don't have hardly any skills whatsoever. And I really I leave that to those people that are interested and have the skills in those areas. I can't cover, I'm only going to cover
Yeah.
a few of them. So if I was wanting to develop in some of these other areas, well, I would, I would start off doing the research in those topics.
Yeah.
For example, what I do, I'm not trying to get you to get a chart done, but what I do is astrogenetics, and that is I can identify using the geometry of the DNA, the bDNA, and the bDNA is best at coding, storing, and transferring genetic information. That's what they mean by the Akashic records. So by our astrogenetics, and looking at that chart, we can see what people were skilled at in past lives and what their future self was basically trying to get them to look into and explore and develop in this life. So, you'll have probably your own intuitive flashes or where you want to look at, what it is that you want to really develop. And there's always going to be people out there that have the skills in those areas. I would just suggest, meditating, contemplating, and putting out into the field, what it is that you want to look at, what it is you want to know, and see what comes back to you, during the next few days, the next few weeks, and so on. You'll get feedback. You only have to interact with the field, and that field is implosive. It's drawn towards you. You become a magnetic attractor within that implosive field, and you become the center of that. So you certainly will be attracting information.
Okay, I'll interrupt you quickly,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, because when I was looking at the cola plant food this morning, because I just watered my plants a couple of day or a day or two ago, and I already sort of noticed a little change in them. And then I started looking at Ormus, Vancouver Island Ormus, this fellow who's making he's taking all the minerals from the seawater there and making it really bioavailable, so you can take it yourself, it looks like, on his website, as well as feed it to your plants. Anyway, I guess maybe it was like back in 2017, sorry, Crystal, which is the first presentation I watched today. And he's a crazy guy, and it was really interesting. But anyway, I guess what I'm doing is in that one, he said that yes, putting all those minerals in your body makes you essentially probably a better conductor, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not going to give a plug, but I'm going to buy some of that and see how far it goes this week. Anyway, thanks everybody. I'll sign
Thank
out.
you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mhm. Right. Graham, you're talking about the outer body, your background, outer body experience that you had. If you would like to share a little bit on that with us here, that'll be fun, because you said that you had your outer body experience. And have you attended the Robert Monroe Institute where you can do it at will? So you could do astro traveling to get your information. Is that what you did?
No, I'd never heard of Robert Monroe. This was a long time ago in the early 1980s. So I was just following the procedure. I wasn't working at the time, so I had every day, all day to sort of practice this. So I just used some of the techniques that were written about in books from the Golden Dawn, how to project or send one's consciousness away from one's body. So, and I was kind of using the tree of life as a template. And um, in one respect, yeah, I don't like the word astral travel because it makes it seem like you're something like Superman or Superwoman and you're out there flying around. Well, I never experienced that. Well, sorry, I did a few times earlier on. For me, it was more like if I had a specific destination in mind, then as long as I could get into theta brainwave state and so on, then I could resonate with, I could tune in, and I could have an experience. And some of those were visual, some of those were in the realm of being flooded with ideas. Some of them were like hearing, like my audio sense. And because I was using destinations, I started off by using destinations around the Earth, so going to certain places or tuning into certain places. But because I was interested in astronomy and astrology, well, I did understand two locations can interact in real time as long as you have the destination coordinates. Then I began to explore tuning into and resonating with different star systems and so on. And my diary that I kept was basically the alpha-numerics that we were looking at before. So I was jotting down all the ideas and thoughts that were coming to me. So calling it astral projections, probably not the right word, but it did fit in with Robert Monroe's focus levels. You know, he's got focus level 35 and focus level 42. And I certainly was experiencing those. In the end, when I did find his work, and they have what they call their advanced program called Starlines, and I read through their report what they were doing to help the advanced members of the Robert Monroe who had been through the earlier courses. So they were exploring the galaxy and beyond using triggers and so on. So they documented their approach and how they were doing that and some of the results. Well, I realized when I read their report, that's something I'd been doing daily for decades before. So not only like a week, they went on a week-long course to do that. Well, I'd been doing that more or less most days for, 2.5 decades before I even found that document. So very, very similar to the Robert Monroe in that sense.
Yeah, we do have the 100 monkey consciousness amongst us, isn't it? Because we are all connected as one.
Yeah.
I find that is getting more and more prevalent, when you think of something and then you make a statement on it or you present it, and then the next time you look, somebody else is having the same idea. And you can't say that that person has taken your idea. It's just the 100 monkey concept, isn't it, Graham?
Yeah, well, that would be Dan Winter's nesting of, golden ratio waveforms, which is coherence, loving, compassion, truth, positive ideas, positive energy, etc. So, in my mind, that's the physics of the 100th monkey effect there.
It is, isn't it? Right, we have a hand up. Betty, bro, go on, unmute.
Graham, I look at the sections of this graphic, and in the justice section, it says Earth dollar. And I know that despite that you just said to the dear Alicia, you just read them and let's see what's come up to you. But when I read the dollar, so are we gonna still have it in 5D about money? What does it really mean, the Earth dollar?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be money. And when I see it more as resource sharing. Each nation has its own resources and its own particular skills. And so I see it more as resource sharing. Earth dollar is just a concept in a sense that, there's kind of the willingness to share the resources that we have in the earth. So probably in the future, I would white out that word dollar. It doesn't seem relevant.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Meti, for your question. I just wanted to share screen because you need to look at Graham's website. Okay, here it is. Sharing screen right now. So this is his website, Galactic Astrology Academy.com. Yeah. It's very, very, very colorfully illustrated. Okay, you put Shepley 8 CIA. All right. And I've seen this interview by Dr. Pontia Dianati. It's very fascinating. You cover a lot of subjects, Graham. And so you have mapped out the cosmogenetic family tree, which is very interesting.
I did that using golden ratio geometries.
Mm-hmm. Were you the one who says that the center of any galaxy is not a wormhole, no, what do you call that? What do you call it? Black hole.
Not a black
Yeah,
hole.
it's not a black hole, so therefore it is something else. Would you explain that? What is it then?
Well, yeah, this is plasma cosmology by the Electric Universe astronomers and Paul LaViolette, another astrophysicist. They kind of conclude, and they have the evidence, especially the Electric Universe astronomers, that at the centers of galaxies, the galaxy is surrounded by a torus, it's a donut shape. So going into the center of the galaxy from the north pole of the galaxy, it's actually that image there. You can see in the middle there where the S's are for Superman and Superwoman. So there's a torus around the galaxy, a donut shape. And it's
Well, that's
at the center of it.
understandable because every particle of creation, the infinitesimal particle creation, as my Emery would call it, the Anu, it's a torus anyway, isn't it? So all the planets around the galaxies in the universe, they are toruses, aren't they?
At a basic level, at the first level, yeah, sure, that's it. And then the electric universe go on to show that what's going through the center of galaxies is they're threaded together. Galaxies are threaded together through their poles with other galaxies. It's like an intergalactic scale of the chakra system, where galaxies are linked together by what they call Birkeland currents. So it's an intergalactic Kundalini system with galaxies as chakras or glands. And Paul LaViolette, a reasonably famous astrophysicist, he's got evidence to show that at the center of the Milky Way, there's what they call Sagittarius A. It's a huge plasma sort of sun or orb there. And he concludes that that's what's at the center. It's not actually a black hole there, or even the implosion through the center there. There's an actual plasma there, a sun, an orb. So then we go to the spiritual teachings where they're talking about the central sun, the central spiritual sun. Rudolf Steiner talked about it. Theosophy talks about it.
You mean the central sun is the central sun of the universe, and we have a few universes as well, right? So the great central sun, where is it located? Is that where the God source is?
Well, those are philosophical terms, but what I did was I dropped the golden ratio maths, the geometry, the cross-section of the DNA helix, the bDNA that stores codes and transfers genetic information. The cross-section of that DNA helix is a decagon. So I dropped the decagon onto the center of the local group of galaxies that we're a part of, Virgo A. And from that center, we could see the other galaxies in the cluster coming out in this direction based on the geometry. They were on the nodes of the decagon. And then I dropped the decagon on a larger cluster of galaxies called Laniakea, where the great attractor is at the center, a smaller cluster of galaxies. So I put the decagon on there, and the clusters of galaxies, superclusters, they were unfolding around the geometry of the decagon, like a supergalactic DNA helix. And then I went to the larger, or the largest central cluster. There's a large group of galaxies out there that are not really centralized, but there is what they call a Shapley supercluster. And at the center of that, where astronomers conclude massive numbers of galaxies are more or less held in orbit around or to this point, Shapley 8 it's called. Well, I dropped the decagon on there, centered at the center of that, and again, massive superclusters just on photographs from astronomy. So I'm not trying to doctor the data. I'm just dropping the decagons on the photos that the astronomers have taken. And again, we see across scale, from larger scale, the very largest scale, down to slightly smaller, back down into our own galaxy, right back to our own solar system, planets spaced out in golden ratio, orbital periods in golden ratio, and right down there to Dan Winter's physics, the Planck scale, the size of the smallest measurable scale, the 0 point, up to the first element, hydrogen, that's based on golden ratio measurements as well. So from the smallest to the largest, we've kind of mapped out the whole scenario based on the golden ratio. So that's, in my view, that's what they mean by the oneness, unity, wholeness is embedding in that fractal. We know where we are in the fractal now for the first time for thousands of years.
That is so profound. You have a special software to do that with AI assistance?
To do the mapping, the geometry? No. Well, what I've done is I've just gathered photos by the astronomers, and then of course it's easy on Mac, using Preview, just to drop decagons on and spin the decagon around, line it up to the center, and so on, and then see what the result is.
You are so clever. Yeah.
Pretty simple, really.
You were saying, I suppose I picked this up from some of your YouTubes, or was it a little bit from Tom Ferdinando as well, the earlier speaker? Everything is spiraling like a vortex spin, right? All the galaxies, you're saying, with based on the golden ratio angles, like 60 degrees, you're saying. Is that correct?
Well, yes, in the sense that 60 degrees is the shadow on the wall behind a golden ratio spiral, which is wrapping a thread around a cone shape. Well, the angle of that cone is 60 degrees. So it's not a hexagon in the way we normally see 60 degrees as like the hexagon. But it is also the shadow on the wall behind a golden ratio conic spiral. And the angle, for example, the angle of our solar system, the central, the equator, the ecliptic they call it, the angle of our solar system embedded in the Milky Way galaxy, the equator of the Milky Way galaxy, those two angles, solar to galactic, well, that's 60 degrees. That's what astronomers, they know this. So we're embedded into the galaxy at the angle of implosion of the golden ratio spiral.
Fascinating. Wow. And Andrew Rees was saying everything is a simulation. It's all mathematically calculated, and they are replicas of each other. I think we are connecting the dots here now, aren't we, Jerry? Yeah, Jerry. Yeah, this is fascinating.
One of the beautiful things that Dan Winter did is that he built his I Thrive app, and he was able to show anyone can get the app and use it. And it gives a real-time feed of what your heart is doing and your brainwave states and so on. So as we stop thinking and we begin to focus on our heart and compassion and begin to meditate and so on, our heart begins to generate a cascade of frequencies based on the golden ratio. So the old saying that love is the creative force of the universe, well, he's been able to prove that. Wow. So when we're talking about geometry and mathematics, what we're really talking about is heart coherence.
Yep. Okay, so on this page, the galactic organizations here you've got the Galactic Center administration. Is that right in the center of the galaxy that some people thought it's a black hole, but it's not, right? It's the center of administration. Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I'm
Where the
doing
central
there,
sun is, they do inhabit the central sun, right?
so what I'm doing there is I've brought together the astrophysics of Paul the Violet, the ideas from Rudolf Steiner and Theosophy, and then I've added the conclusion of my alphanumerics that we were looking at before, number 222, Center of the Galaxy, Galactic Administration, Real Galactic Federation, overseeing the galaxy and so on. So I brought together a number of ideas, I'll call them, from different researchers, and then I've made my kind of conclusion there. And so I've mapped out what, I've written down there what people have said, not only about the Galactic Center, but some of the different star families, the Pleiadians and so on, Aldebaranians, Sirians, and so on, calling themselves an organization, Galactic Federation, and an association of worlds. So a lot of that is just coming from the ideas from other people, and I've kind of just compiled it and put it there.
Yeah. As I said, I'm connecting the dots here from the various speakers, and the Urantia books has also pointed out that that's where the administrators are, in the center of the galaxy, and that's where they reside. They even reside in the sun. Maybe even the sun is hollow, and the beings, celestial beings, are basing their HQ and their home in there. It's really fascinating. Each and every speaker brings a piece for us to connect the dots with. And you're talking about the wing makers on the Galactic Admin. I'm curious here, so I'm clicking on the link because I love the wing makers' messages and what they bring. I can't get in there. I'm sorry. So anyway, I got to stop. So you want to talk a little bit about the wing makers bit here that is connecting with your presentation on your website?
Well, I did read the wing makers and so on, and even the kind of like the dynamics amongst the people involved. It changed over a period of time, and they certainly, or should I say, what I was more interested in was I was just taking some of the phraseology from the wing makers, and I was just putting it into my alphanumerics. So in the alphanumerics, some of the phraseology was lining up or cross-referencing some of the other ideas that were a part of that alphanumeric number. So not that I was trying to, really get in there and become part of that wingmaker idea and so on. I certainly appreciated it, but I wanted to see how the phraseology that they were using nested in and supported and cross-referenced some of the other ideas that I was working with. So they do talk in there about being able to resonate with the center of the galaxy, and also therefore being able to bring forward some of the concepts or ideas that are being shared from the center of the galaxy.
Sure. Graham, you are helping us to remember. So surely, as our helper in our memory, you got more of it. So you must have remembered a lot more, if not even through your intuitive or psychic ability. How's your feeling like when they say the wing makers are actually ourselves, our future selves who had come back to the future, back to the past, to tell us what had gone wrong and how we can shift it and make it right again from the base of the pyramid?
Well, I can see that as being a possibility for sure, in the sense that once we embed in that fractal, that golden ratio fractal, then all timelines merge into our reality. So we can then interact with, download, experience different timelines that are all fusing in as part of that fractal. They're all nesting in there together. So in my mind, when a society or a group of people become more advanced, not only are they capable of psychically interacting with various timelines, there's no reason why they can't transmigrate to another timeline. I'll give you an example of this. The famous Egyptian Thoth, Thoth. So in my mind, he's not a character back there in Egypt thousands of years ago. There is contemporary Thoth. So there's a few people, William Brewer and a few other people in contemporary 1970s, 1980s, 1990s have experienced interactions with what they call contemporary Thoth in this era. And one of the messages that he said
Reincarnated.
was, no, I'll explain. And one of the messages that Thoth also explained to one of these people was that he's also playing a role in the future, a few thousand years into the future. So this is how I see this. So we have an individual Thoth who has embedded himself into the fractal, has brought together timelines, and is in one aspect, we'll say he wakes up in the morning. So he's in Egypt back there a few thousand years ago. He wakes up in the morning, he plays some role in Egyptian culture back there in that era. And then he transmigrates, or he projects his consciousness to the 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, back into this era. So part of his day, he is experiencing and playing a role in contemporary Earth situations and so on. But another part of his day, he's transmigrated his consciousness a few thousand years into the future, and he's playing a role there in that time period. So during his day, he's not locked into Egyptian back there. He can traverse timelines and plant his consciousness in, and even parts of his, we'll call it the light body, his plasma anatomy. So he can play a role along or throughout different timelines. So he's not just locked into one era in time. And this is how I see more advanced beings. They're not locked in to a certain time frame. They're playing out roles in different eras.
Everything happening all at once at the same time for these beings, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. So is there any other question? I don't see any questions on chat. Okay, so there's no hands up. I guess we need to conclude because it's very late in Europe.
Yeah, I would like to ask.
I was trying to get in.
Mike,
I can't find where to raise my hand.
Sorry, Mike, carry on. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the Fibonacci series. One can say that everything manifests according to the Fibonacci series, because it does. All right, which means that the whole thing is a computer simulation based on the Fibonacci series. And the continually recursive dodecahedron structures you find in space is proof of that. It's just a movie. That's the big thing that I've been working on, is that it's a movie. Okay, well then what's the source of the information? And the source of the, who put the things together? And the answer is we did, okay? Over a long period of time, and I can show you how that works. Mind-boggling, what we've done. But it winds up, it's holographic, continually recursive and holographic, which means that everything's in everything.
True.
And so it's all manifest according to Fibonacci series. Everything's in everything. And so it winds up being a holodeck broadcast from our DNA. Everything we see out there is essentially a holodeck broadcast from our DNA. Our DNA has the past, present, future of the entire multiverse in it. This is known, you can see it. Okay, there's peer-reviewed articles about that. All right. So if the whole multiverse is in our DNA, then it's in here first, and then it's out there. And that it runs like a computer program out there is kind of proof of that. And so, how far does it actually go? It's just a movie, and the movie comes from us. How far does it actually go? It's just like we're in a little toroid, and all this stuff, the planets and galaxies are printed on the sphere that we're in. I don't know. It's mind-boggling.
Thanks, Mike, for your take on that. That is making it a bit clearer now. Yeah, right. So
I don't know. It's clear. It's a big question. I mean,
Yeah.
If everything comes from our DNA, and it does, then how far
Yeah.
does it go? You know,
Yeah, we are
how far does
awesome.
all that information spread? You know?
Yeah. Having carried 22 of the ET root races as well, I suppose.
Mind-boggling.
How long is a string, eh, Mike?
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So folks, I
But
really.
Graham, let us know when you figure that one out, if you would.
How long is
Yeah,
a
I guess
string?
I see it a bit different, but I can see what you mean.
Right. Hey,
Okay.
Graham, thank you so much for doing such a wonderful presentation. I need to wrap it up because it's really late in Europe. And Matty has been staying awake all night usually for a physics meeting from way back in the Philippines. And you from New Zealand, what time is it there now in New Zealand, Graham?
It's 9 a.m.
Oh wow, you sure woke up early. So there being no other questions now, I need to really wrap this up very quickly. Pontus, you got anything to say? Any last say? Pontus?
Thank you all for attending, and thank you, speakers. It has been very informative. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you. Jerry? Henrik? Mona?
The same here. Thank you,
Uh-huh.
Graham.
Thank you.
And New Zealand, it's a really nice country. Been there.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it is. It is.
Isn't it?
Da flipați.
Okay, Loa. Thank you so much, everyone, brothers and sisters of physics. Namaste. And there being no other business now, this meeting is adjourned to the 139th meeting. And when is it? August the... Oh, let me check. So you can pen it down in your diary. I think it's August the 6th. That's right. Okay. 139th meeting on August the 6th. Right. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Graham,
guys.
for
Thank you.
gracing our
Bye.
platform once again. Bye, everyone. We can
Thank you
stop
very much.
recording. Thank you.
Have a good time.
Pleasure, Loa. Yeah, do join us again, Loa, and
Yeah.
Alicia and the rest of you here who are new. Do come back, yeah?